Happy Monday. Thank you again for joining us with another Back to Basics Practice Management, hosted by me, Sharon Johnson. And our topic today is patient experience with personalized cards. I am thrilled to have with me my guest, Lulu Hart Bentley, founder of Heartfelt Expressions. And Lulu has dedicated herself to helping businesses cultivate meaningful client relationships that go beyond the inbox. She takes a consultative approach to understand the unique needs and objectives of each business to ensure every direct mail campaign delivers not just a message, but an opportunity to increase return on investment and growth. Leveraging the power of Mailbox Power Sophisticated Platform, she specializes in helping her customers automate and personalize gifting and direct mail campaigns that resonate with their audience. She can guide any business toward an impactful approach to client retention and outreach, where every expression sent through the mail is a step towards enduring business bonds. Lulu and heartfelt expressions ensure that your gesture of appreciation is not only felt, but also remembered. So, without further ado, let's dive into this conversation. And I'm going to bring on Lulu Hart Bentley. Hi, Lulu.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. It is Monday.
Yes, it is.
So let's talk about this, right? Patient experience is all the way all over, all around us, and when we, and not just for patient and healthcare, but also I think customer interaction. Let's just also broaden that base, right? So I want to ask, what are the benefits of personalized cards or just personalization in campaign to the organization and their customers? In this case, we're also going to touch healthcare in doctors' offices and patients and whatnot, because I do think that your arena here is pretty broad. It covers, several industries across.
Absolutely. My platform can be utilized by any type of business, but since we are talking practice management and how healthcare practices can grow and retain their patients and continue outreach and so forth, I personalization is, I think, vitally important because in this arena today, for many practices, they don't really have the time that a lot.
Mhm.
I hear this a lot from practitioners. They don't have the time that they would really like to spend with each patient. And so taking the personal approach by reaching out to their patients, whether it's sharing information, thanking them, celebrating a birthday or something like that, it's just a great way to kind of extend that visit, if you will, and keep that patient engaged and feeling like they really matter to the practice.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, expressing genuine and sincere appreciation towards your patient, showing your empathy really builds trust. I couldn't agree more and can bolster, that doctor patient relationship. And even within your care team, patient relationship, it does foster that connection. Like when you're walking in the door, as I'm walking in the door in my doctor's office and I can connect to that front desk person, that just sets the tone, right? And literally it's like you're going there for myriad of reasons, whether you're sick or you're well or there's some other follow-up. It's that initial connection that just brings, settles down the patient, gives a bit of a looking forward to that conversation, or it just helps them to reduce, that anxiety. They already have, anxiousness that happens coming into the door, and also like if you're hurried, you're late, you're just like, oh my gosh, rushing through the door. Oh my goodness, I'm running late. Your blood pressure's high. You're kind of going all over the place. But it's nice to be able to come in through the door and have that, warmth and being able to have that connection. So I totally agree with you. Um, what else are other ways that you think we can build, and strengthen that doctor-patient relationship, and that, even the clinical staff, everyone in the practice that can continue to strengthen that?
Well, I think it definitely starts when the patient walks in the door. Well, actually, it starts really, um, a lot of times patients will look up a doctor before they even step through the door. So they might look at reviews, and if the reviews are good, like my doctor really cares about me, the staff is great, they take their time, they appreciate me, I get good care, those types of things. It really kind of starts there, and so what we help practices do is set themselves apart from the competition, because let's face it, there's a lot of practitioners
Sure.
in every modality. And so
Sure.
how are you going to differentiate yourself? And actually it even starts with a doctor with celebrating their team. I have
Mm.
many
Mhm.
practices and businesses that honor their employees and their staff, and they celebrate them, and they go beyond uh, just saying, great job, or in many cases they think it, but they forget to express it. So appreciation goes a long way in all aspects of any business or any medical practice. So I think that, saying it, speaking it, acting it, and then sending something tangible that
Mhm.
makes that person feel special. So I think that's something that starts from the top.
I agree. I totally agree. I think that, from a leadership standpoint, they are our leaders that set the tone and the vision for, their organization, and also, the recognition and appreciation. Then you have your management that, supports that and reinforces, what the leader has set from for the organization. And I agree. I think employee recognition and appreciation is very essential to a practice, and even just an organization or a business, because that gives that retention. But also, I do think in that, it lets them know not just good job, great job done, but it's that, on the day to day, in their daily grind, that they appreciate some of the challenges that they have and how they're working through, and yet they're still able to, meet that expectation, as set by, practice or organization. So yes, and they're also the word of mouth. I feel like that section of, employee as, healthcare workers as employees, we all also go to a doctor's visit. We also have our own expectations. We also look up physicians. We also do our, things that our patients, also do the same thing. And I think that with employees being appreciated and recognized in some fashion, like you said, it it's a word of mouth. It's like that's really the word of mouth marketing, right? You love a certain doctor in your practice, you're working for them. Oh, he's amazing. He did something for your family member, or friend or something like that. I mean, you couldn't get organic word of mouth in that as you go through appreciation. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Little appreciation goes a long way. There's a saying, and I might butcher it, but it's like, a person who feels appreciated will go above and beyond. And that stands for
Absolutely.
staff, that stands for patients. They're going to be raving about that practice because they walked in the door. The employees are being appreciated, so they're appreciating the patients. And then the doctor comes in and, is a great doctor, gives the care, and then, some tokens of appreciation, something tangible goes out to that person, to that patient, and it just creates this circle of gratitude and appreciation. And hey, my doctor's so great. You got to come and and hear my doctor. I say the cards that a practice or a business sends out, I call them the goodwill ambassadors for the business, because we know we're good. Let's say you're a doctor, you're good, you do your job,
Mhm. Mhm.
but you're not really allowed to say how great you are other people are the ones that are allowed to say how great you are. So I just say these cards kind of remind people of how great the business is or how great the doctor is. So they're the goodwill ambassadors that just keep the good energy going.
Now, glad you segued into that about the cards. So let's talk a little bit about, you have, I think, a platform that you utilize. And so, how does that work? Like, how do you, build that and working with, your clients, and what do you, how do you create that goodwill ambassador, like you said, for them, and just walk us through, what is it that you build for them in that?
So the first thing I do really is just sit down and find out if a practice or a business is doing anything. What are you doing to follow up? Many people, this is sort of the missing link. They might be on social media, using email campaigns and that type of thing to try to find people, and they could get them in the door, but then what are you doing to not only keep them but have them refer their friends and family? I mean, you want to build a business based on referral, and you want to build a business that creates a legacy, where you get a whole family or a whole group of people
Mm-hmm.
together. So I think that's super important. And so our platform recognizes that it's hard to keep track of all of that. So we
Right. Yes.
somebody can use a business or practice can use our platform to uh, appreciate the customers or patients that they already have by automating birthday cards, automating thank you cards, automating maybe just reach out campaigns, maybe for the seasons or something like that, that keeps their name in front of the people, but not in a way that's salesy, so to speak. So we do have,
Understood.
go ahead.
Mm-hmm. No, go ahead. No,
We
no.
do have that ability. We also I tell people, just sometimes you just want to send a card out to somebody when they have a death in the family or a birth in the family or things that happen, and you're building those relationships. You want to acknowledge that whenever possible, so they can have their own database of cards that they can create, or they can use cards that we've already created, and they can just edit them so that they're relevant to the practice or the business. And so send one-offs, or they can use our platform to send all of their holiday cards out in one click of the mouse. They can also build a mailing list, curate a mailing list if they're trying, let's say, a new practice. They need patients. They move into a neighborhood. They can actually curate a mailing list based on geography and demography, and
Mm-hmm.
and and now have that to use to send postcards or cards or whatever to announce the practice, invite people in, that type of thing. So there's lots of really great ways. It's a very robust platform, and I want to find out what they're doing, what are their objectives, and then I can match the tools that we have to what they want to do. So that's a long
And
answer to your question.
no, 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 not at all. And that's great, because I do think that, when you're trying to reach your audience and perform an outreach campaign. So let me just back up a bit, because you said something that perked in my brain. So particularly with sympathy cards, I recall a practice, I happened to be working with, and I think that was one of the things that I thought made them unique, because they would send sympathy cards when they hear about their patients that have, lost, and they passed, and they would, send the sympathy cards to the family. We would receive thank you cards back, and acknowledging that they really appreciated that they sent it to the family. And it's usually signed by the entire practice, like we're talking every single staff. That lets the patient know that, whether you had been there coming for years, or you've brought your entire family, but you have a loss, and, sending that card really sets care in the way that, it conveys the message that you are part of our, practice family. We
Mm-hmm.
also, experience the loss that you're experiencing, that we're able to, convey that message through a card, and having the entire team sign it really puts that out there, right? It's really like a good message in the way that, of course you want to be sincere and genuine, but in that way it just conveys to the patient that, oh, they really care about us, and that, we've been there for so long, and this is why we are here this long,
That's right.
and this is the reason why we continue to be at this practice for this, X amount of years or continual generation. So I love that sympathy card that you mentioned. And then also birthday cards. The other another thing that sparked to me, and I worked at another practice where they would send birthday cards with, they turn centenarian, right? We have patients living longer now. We are living,
Mm-hmm.
that are 100, and it's just wonderful to be able to, again, a sense of acknowledgement, like, wow, my patient turned 100 years old, and that's a milestone. And and if they're still in good health, or whatnot, I mean, that is truly a celebrated moment, right? That you can send. And again, it's just acknowledging that, even if you have volumes of patient, but you're remembering them for a particular milestone to hit, as a centenarian, that just gives them, like, wow, a meaning to their birthday. And the other is an opportunity to be able to also talk about your preventative checkups, right? Or outreach or things like that. Again, to your point, it doesn't have to be salesy in that kind of message, but a conveyance of message that you do care, and that we're doing this because we care about you. So I totally agree with that. And it sounds like your platform is easy. Like there's a bit of automation, and something, because to your point, time is of essence. Time is valuable.
Yes.
There's not much time in the day, but increasingly, with practices and some of their, time is definitely valuable. So I think the automation sounds interesting, and it's
Yes.
something that they can just like plug and play, or
Yes.
or how. Okay.
There
Okay.
is the ability to plug and play with an automation, so that you could have something going out every month if you wanted, or, every other month, or, you can build a holiday card and a birthday card into a drip campaign that will go out automatically. You kind of set it and forget it. And
Mhm.
birthday automation, you send the card, all you have to do once a year is change the card. And as people join the practice, they add them in, and goes out automatically. And you kind of, it's not that you forget about it, but you'll get all these messages, or patients will come in and say, "Thank you so much for the birthday card," and you know that it's done.
Yeah.
It's done. You won't forget. We don't let you forget. So you can automate a lot of those things, even thank yous and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Hmm.
No, that's great, because then, if we can automate certain processes, right, that, at a setup, and you don't have to really, you might check on it, but the frequency isn't as much as, and so it's not going to be something where time is spent a lot. And it's
Yes.
something that you just, do, and you're done. And can there be adjustments also? Like if there's a move, for example, or a newer location, or a new service, or maybe a downsizing. There's also, like a downsizing in service or something like that. So can that also be in a way of an outreach?
Absolutely. There's so many different ways of outreach. And I forgot to mention that our turnaround time is 1 to 2 days. So
Okay.
if they set up an automation or something, it'll go out the door. We do everything for them. They design the card or whatever, and they set it up, and they click on a button that says send.
Right.
We do everything else. We print, we put it in the envelope or the box or whatever it is that's going out. Um, and then we take it to the post office, and we do everything for them. So that's a huge time saver. And then it's print on demand. So you can send one card, you can send 1,000 cards, doesn't matter. and each membership that we have comes with unlimited postcards included. So for a practice that's looking to send information, hey, we have a new service or a new doctor or whatever, they can create a postcard and send it to everybody.
I agree. I think that, I agree with your first assessment when we talked earlier. I just want to round back to it. Digital marketing and social media definitely have their own space. I don't disagree with that. I think there is the usefulness of that, in ways of reaching a mass of patients or customers in the way that you would reach them digitally. On the other hand, I do think there's still merit in a postcard or a card because you're expecting something in the mail, right? I think we all still, at least for me anyway, I can speak that, when I received your card, I appreciated that very much, from a business perspective, right? That, that you thought of me, and I really enjoyed having to receive something tangible. I don't think that we can lose that sight that, there's still tangibility, in a note card, in a thank you note, in a written note, as a matter of fact, that can also still go a long way. And so we need to also round back into that, in that it's not all digital, but there are still some touch points that really have that human connection, through, an individual card received.
Oh,
Would you agree?
absolutely. I get messages all the time from people thanking me for remembering them. Thanks for remembering my birthday, and it was great connecting with you. I love sending those cards when I meet people. Like, just, thanks for becoming our patient. And I also think a great thing for a practice to do when they do get a new patient is just kind of maybe send a card that gives an overview of the office, who to contact, if you need billing or whatever. You're like, here's the list. And that's something that they will keep. And every time they look at it, they remember that practice. Like, they cared enough about me to give me the information that I need to have a successful relationship with them. So things like that. I have lots of different ways. I've been doing this for 14 years. I have a lot of ideas of how to help whatever kind of business it is reach the audience with the message that they need to hear.
That's great. Now, can I pick your brain? Because, we're all in this, QR cards, or just QR in QR codes. I didn't ever think that QR codes would ever have this, like, popularity, but it's everywhere, right? We even see it on TV. I thought it was kind of wild when I did see something like that on TV. But regardless, is there anything also, like you mentioned, the informational card? Like, I like that listing. You're a new patient. Thank you for coming in. Blah blah blah. And you listed, like, okay, here's the billing. Here's da da da. Now, is there anything that can be also QR code for those, I would say probably leaning towards younger generation, but honestly, I feel like us also older using QR codes. So is there anything like that as well?
Absolutely. You can put a QR code on any card, and you could link it to anything. Could be to your calendar, schedule your next appointment here, scan here to set up an appointment to talk to the doctor, things like that. You can attach a QR code, and we do have the ability to put a dynamic QR code on cards. And that's really unique because it comes with tracking. So if I let's say I'm a new practice and I'm sending out a postcard to a certain neighborhood. We're new, blah, blah, blah. I can actually put a dynamic QR code on there that will link to, let's say, my website. For more information, click here. But when that recipient scans that QR code, the practice gets notified in real time. So now they have an idea, number one, of how effective that campaign is, how many people are looking at it, and who is looking at it. So now they have a way to know who's interested and engaged, and they can start a reach out process to that person. That's
Okay.
very powerful. Very powerful. And
Yeah.
they can put that dynamic QR code on anything, and it can link to anything, a website, a booking calendar, whatever they want.
So there's a bit of customization, it sounds like, that
Oh,
they can
absolutely.
enable to do. Okay.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah,
And
the answer is always yes. Like if whatever objective they have and they ask me questions, well, can we do this? 99.999% of the time, the answer is yes. And if I don't know, I'll find somebody who knows and we'll figure it out. And based upon their unique objective, we can create something with real meat to it.
That's fantastic. I did want to say one thing that you mentioned too, because we talked about time taken away from staff and whatnot. So that was key, that you guys are actually mailing it out. Like that's not taking a staff time or, or a resource within the practice. It's something that, you guys are doing. So that's, going to be not like an add-on to a I don't want to say chore list, but like a task list. So, it's not something that is like, then it wouldn't be a dreaded feeling of an additional task, if you will. And, if they can feel that a little bit differently, I think that's also helpful as well.
Yes, absolutely. And this way it'll actually get done.
True.
I've worked in offices where the Christmas card gets passed around and everybody's
Right.
got to sign it, whatever. And by the time it gets done, well, there's glitter everywhere and, it's a mess and maybe it doesn't go out in time. With our platform, it'll go out in time, people will get it, and it'll actually get done.
Well, we're coming to a close, and I wanted to make sure, I don't want to be remiss. For my last question is very short. Really, your thoughts on just the impact of gratitude through personalization, and then how can anyone reach you? What's the best way? Is it your website? Your contact information? Please let us know, and then I will certainly follow that up with putting that in the chat or in the comments once we're our session ends.
Yes. So just you want to be remembered as the practice that cares. I think I said to you the other day, for me, everywhere I go, everybody knows what I do because they're getting my cards. They remember me and they say, you know what, I know a business that could really use your service. So, or in the case of a practice, they're out and they're like remembering that practice and they're spreading the word. Every time they receive something, it just solidifies in their head. I mean, we have stuff coming at us from all angles every day, so much information, so much competition, so much of everything, so much. And
right.
So to kind of cut through that, it's just sort of, like I said before, it's the missing link. It just gives that little bit of personalization and caring and gratitude. And to me, it's just positive energy out in the world. I send, and I tell people, just send that energy out there. It will come back to you. It just always does. It can't fail. If you're consistent and just send that energy out there.
Absolutely. So how do we get in touch with you? What's the best way?
Best way is probably texting me or emailing me. Those are the best ways. Because they're out. We can put a link to my website in there. The website is just general information. We do have for new customers, we do have a special price. It won't show on my regular website, but they can certainly get an idea. Anything that we didn't touch in this conversation, they'll find out. But yeah, best way is probably just through text message or email.
Okay, great. So I will put your information in the chat or comment once we're done here. And great. I thank you so much for your time. Thank you for this conversation.
Thank you.
I enjoyed it very much. And I just want to close with, when you express gratitude to the patient, they do cherish it and they feel valued, respected, and cared for, like you said. And clinicians can strengthen, that bond with their patients through that way of personalization. And I totally agree with you. Thank you again, Lulu,
Thank you.
for your time, and I wish you it's a great week.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity.
All right.